Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat. Welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evan. It's good to be with y'all today, and I hope you're having a good day. Good to see you, Kit. Good to see you, Kevin. Good to see you, Beer Fox. Good to see you, Brayherd. Good to see you, Hito. Good to see you, Bad Roxy. Good to see you, Jizo. And congratulations to Kit. You have won the Crown of Furstendom. Crown that's eminently clear because we're working with glass today. I'd make the same joke Kit did for Bad Roxy, but she beat me to it. Anyway, we're going to be working in Minecraft today. We're going to be working on the windows for the cathedral. So let's go ahead. Let's get on into it. I did some preparation off screen, and I also caught a new Pokemon off screen. Say hello to the very large lad. He's very tall, and I can ride him. I'm going to call him Stepladder. Also, someone was gracious enough to bring me some granite. I did not take it for granted. So we can actually finish the floor. So we'll do that first. For these smaller sections, I actually think it would be kind of cool to use regular granite rather than polished granite, just to kind of break it up visually a little. And yeah, I think that was the right call. And I'm not worried if I run out, because I do actually have like 5 more stacks in a chest that someone brought me. I actually have no idea who, because I put out a thing on the server. I think I'm actually going to do these 2 circles in rough hewn as well, just to give it a little bit of variance. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Mustache. Thank you for the lurk. It might have been Tantalus. I honestly have no idea. Whoever it was, I thank them. But the church is going pretty good. We're actually almost done with the floor. And we're going to design the windows today. Having these will be nice because that'll mean I'll stop falling through to the crypt. Oh, you like pews? Thank you. Yep, you spelled right. Yeah, this is just, it's the bench. It's the oak bench. And we're going to have to do a lot of terraforming on that side of the church. And I did do a little bit of preliminary terraforming off screen today. Oh no, I still need a couple more blocks of uncut granite. Oh well. Hey, Katie. Yeah, no, I've been looking through the DecoCraft stuff. I think the bench comes from handcrafted, apparently. But I did find, while I was messing around earlier today, I found these stone pillars, which I think look really nice on the inner part of the... I forget what these are called. So for the shaping of the window, figure we'll use smooth stone, stone, and cobblestone wall. So with the spacing here, it's 7 wide. So what I was thinking is I should get some regular cobblestone too while I'm working on this. What I was thinking is block off 1, and then you're left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then shape it with smooth stone, and then you're left with 5. So we can do 5, 3, 1 to make the top of the window. I think what we'll do though is we'll take this. Out, and we'll replace this with regular stone. Now, how high up do I have to build? Because I think the top of the window frame itself, not the glass, but just the frame, should match to here. So was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tall. So we already have 1, so that's 9. Then the top one, 8, 7. So 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then what I was thinking is using sort of a combination of bricks. Ow. Oh, yeah. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and then this is where the wall would continue as normal. Practice internet safety. Never had a rando on Discord. That's good internet safety. Hey there, Hope. Looking over this window design. Okay, so I did in fact build it to the right height, so that's a good sign. Yeah, add them when they happen to be royalty. How many supposed royals do you know, Hope? I like this. I like where this is headed. I don't know what to fill in sort of here, these 3 blocks. Maybe that's where, I think I have some tough around here. Maybe that's where some chiseled tough could come in handy. Still waiting for my payouts, so I might have to rethink my royalty, friends. Yeah, I'm no expert, but you may want to. Okay, that I'm digging that. Chain emails. If you don't send this email on to... How do I have so many eggs? Where are all these eggs coming from? Kevin! Kevin! Chickens usually, or the mod, or the admin. Huh? My stream is lagging. Well, if you'd stop using your internet power to spawn so many eggs, maybe it would go more smoothly. Is a Chocobo Rider a chicken jockey? Yes, and I hate it. But the real question is the Chocobo Rider a sandwich or a taco? It's a taco. I like this frame. I think this looks pretty good. Chocobo Rider is clearly a pancake. That's grim. Giving eggs is nice compared to Kai. Oh no. What did you do to poor Kai? Do I want to know what the cube rule of food is, Beer Fox? No. I mean, if I do know it, I don't know it off the top of my head, apparently. All food can be defined within a theoretical cubic space based on relative position of carbs and non-carbs. That's a terrible classification system. It's going to lead to all sorts of errors. Didn't see the clip she shared. Kept putting walls behind where she was ticking. Oh no, I did not see that. That's terrible. Oh dear. Ah dear. I like this window though. Oh, if you posted a link, Beer Fox, it gets eaten on my end. Only mods are allowed to share links. So Step Zero has taken it upon to do that. I practice good internet safety and I don't open random links. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do in this section. Where there's the door. Maybe we'll build a squatter window over everything. Also, I already screwed up. Pizza is not toast, though. Pizza is an open-faced sandwich. Toast may be an ingredient, but toast is not the sum total of it. Nigiri, toast. Toast, toast, unless it's a sandwich. See, this is a bad system. You people in your food wars. Actually rethinking this. So this is the front door, which currently... Ignore the cliff. Church first, terraform later. But if that's the case, maybe we should... We'll have a window there. There is food sophistry happening in chat, and I'm just gonna let that unfold. You know, all this food talk, I bet Plato's spinning in his grave. Should hook him up to some dynamos, generate power. A Pop-Tart is not a calzone. A Pop-Tart is a pastry. This rule makes no differentiation for the importance of sweet versus savory in baked goods, and therefore it is anathema to me. Then what if pi? Pi is transcendent, so it doesn't matter. You know, if I didn't know this was a thing on the internet, I would think your head had come undone. But if some young punk challenges me in the church, well, unfortunately, trainers don't challenge you. You have to challenge them. Unless his name is Arius, then we're probably going to throw down. What was I looking to grab? Oh, it's a huge, ugly squirrel. You have help making the bed, therefore it remains unmade? Yeah, that sounds about right. Not the consistency of that starch. See, that's a problem. In baking, your consistency matters. Is it true that Jean Valjean is a source of advice on how to avoid Pokemon trade battle? Look down, look down. Shepherd's pie. A toast. No! Objectively, no. The starch is above the meat. People talk like you've never even had shepherd's pie. Inverted toast is called a mess. It's a wonderful rule to bring up, but it's not a good rule because it's not it's not even a verifiable paradigm. Wait. That's interesting. I can't make that here. must be made here. Is that another player or an NPC? That is an NPC. We can walk up and we can see Pokemon Trainer Cedric. What do you mean you just challenged me to a fight? I thought you couldn't, you jerk. How dare you make eye contact with me? You need to have a presentation party. You sound like my coworker. Oh, bye, Durant. Durant. She and her friends have PowerPoint parties. Can you quit healing? Can you stop healing? Thank you, Cedric. My Rhydon is so big. Fight! Finally! This is what you come here for? With violence. Do I have anyone with flying move? Not really. Well, now that Rhydon is knocked out. Galvantula's probably terrible. Heracross! Go fight Heracross! Wow, everything's terrible here. Go Avalugg. You're just big. If I came here just for violence, I would have left ages ago, but I was promised Pokemon! You were, in fact, promised Pokemon. No! Go, Stepladder. Ow. This is going poorly. The other Pokemon's HP is behind my head, yes. Okay, this is his last Pokemon. That was his last Pokemon. Maybe this is why a Pokemon MMO would not be fun. Yeah. And unfortunately, the random trainers, their level will be like plus or minus 5 of your best Pokemon. Any plans for the weekend? I'm gonna go have tea with one of my brothers. Every few months we just go someplace to have high tea, which is always a delight. Yes, actual tea, not boba. Not sugar water with caffeine. I think the belts in my overhead AC/heater unit might be on the fritz. Wait, no, I can't put this here yet. This will come out. It still has to come out one more. There's a boba place around the corner from me, which claims to be the inventor of boba, which I find very dubious. Especially because it's not been there that long. The world's best cup of coffee from the movie Elf. Yeah, it's been years since I've seen Elf, so I'm gonna go with yes. I think there's a chain. Yeah, but I don't think this place is a chain. I think it's just a one-off. I'm sure there is a chain that claims to be the inventor, and maybe they are. But this particular place, I have my doubts. I guess actually if I'm doing that there with the doors... consistent. It might be, but again, I don't think it's a chain. I think it's just a one-off kind of place. Buffalo, New York invented buffalo wings? Well, that can't be. Buffalo, New York doesn't exist. No, I kid. I've actually been to Buffalo. It's for a friend's ordination. Gonna open your own restaurant, make crazy claims like inventor of fried chicken. No, you gotta make claims of just like completely unverifiable things. Especially if it's like things not even on your menu. You know, then you can be like, yeah, I invented it, just I didn't see any money in it. I think something we might do is we might use, rather than glass panes, we could use glass blocks and then make these two parts completely glass on the inside. Parents were from Buffalo. Buffalo. Of the Buffalo. Wait, that's the wrong spot. Dang it. Every time I do this, it's wasted blocks because I have to put them back in the kiln. The R.L. Stein Literary Award granted by R.L. Stein to an author named R.L. Stein. I mean, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So yeah, this is the same width. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then what was it? Ultra rare Quaxley has been caught. I don't know what a Quoxley is. Did R.L. Stein do that? Yes, he actually legitimately did that once. Ow. There's nothing stopping you from just naming an award after yourself and giving it to yourself. What an absurd timeline we live in. Do I have feather falling? I don't even have shoes, bro. I don't even have shoes. Now, I am thinking, since we have these pillar trims, using them here as well, just to continue with the continuity. I think that... Excuse me. Excuse me. No. Ruby, you're making it very hard to work. There we go. Having those go all the way up like that, I like that. Oh wait, no. Of course they do. They already did on this side. I already had that. Okay, then we have another window situation. How tall is this? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. North Korea makes up its World Cup results. Aircross, I need your help. I built myself into a corner. So what I'm thinking with this upper panel is what if we did like an archway kind of thing? So what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So a 9 wide circle in Minecraft. Is it 2, 1, 2? That should work. Because if we do like 2 tall, what can I do this in really quickly to show? So if we start with it going up by 2. And then I use regular stone up here. And then it needs to go that. And 1, 2, center. There we go. And I might put in some tuff like I had here or something. But that's fine for now for placeholder. I don't like how wide it is. Sometimes you work on a project, you take a step back, and you look at it and you go, ugh. I can't brain. I couldn't figure out how to keep the menu open. I don't know why. That crunch you heard was my ankles. Okay, that's better. I'm trying to decide if I like it, like, if it should be the same width as the window below, or if it being one wider, it looks better. So, least favorite type of game to play, sports ball. And no disrespect to those who like it, but I don't. How's that look from the inside? Okay, I think that works on the inside. You can only sleep at night or during a thunderstorm. Look, the sun is setting. It is basically night. My least favorite game, I assume you're talking like video game, is sports games, honestly. I'm not really a huge sports guy in general, so sports games are just not my jam. Gonna think horror? I mean, I don't like horror for the most part, but I have played some horror games and had fun with them. Back in college, played a bunch of Silent Hill 3 with a buddy. My buddy was a jerk. He made me turn off the lights so it was extra scary. No, I love badly made games. Have you seen what I play? Thought that was about pain and suffering. Yeah, but I also love just a good bad game. Like, there's the New Adventures of Pac-Man for the Super Nintendo. That game's awful, and I'm so happy I own it. Oh, I like the green accent that the Tough is adding. That looks good. Watch friend play RE1 and was very walking home. Oofda. No horror for Beer Fox, apparently. The same friend, he was very into horror. But we went as a group to go see one of the oh, what was the series that had like it was all like found footage, not Blair Witch style, but like security camera kind of footage. Oh, anyway, we went to go see one of those, and it was so bad that at the end he just yelled out, "What was that?" The whole theater laughed. The Conjuring? No. No, not The Conjuring. No, this one, it utilized, well, one of them utilized the Xbox Kinect as one of their cameras, actually. Want to learn more about Mystery Flesh Pit RPG over the few years ago? Had trouble with sleep for a week. Oh, that's rough. I love Mystery Flesh Pit. This one is way too big. What's going on here, bud? That to use out of context? No! Can't do that. I'll delete the clip. Paranormal Activity. Yes, thank you, Hope. That was it. Oh, I've never seen the first one. Failure analysis description of the incident. The incident is easily one of the freakiest parts. Okay, so this should be anchored to the third one. So I'm going to guess you've never read House of Leaves then, Beer Fox. Ow. I mean, House of Leaves is a really cool novel. But if you don't like horror at all, I highly recommend staying away from it. It's more psychological. It's not really classic horror. It's more psychological thriller, I'd say, but... It's about a house that's a quarter of an inch larger on the inside than it is on the outside. At first. Yeah, by Fiona Apple's brother. Thrill is making your watch think you're exercising. Yeah, heart rates can be like that. Still not in love with this upper window we may go back and revisit that. But check it out! We have like a whole wall section of the church built. And it's basically from here. We'll start the roof not much higher than this. So I think maybe, honestly, just one block. Maybe two. Let's do two. You know, given that space, maybe we should make this a little taller. Maybe that's the thing I don't like, is how squat it is. I thought the game froze for a moment. I walked into a wall. Is what it actually was. Look how tiny it is. Then we'll have the crypt. I think we'll design the crypt after we're done with the upstairs. So we'll just leave this as is for now. No, that's entirely valid. Beer Fox, and, you know, like, you don't, even if it wasn't for that reason, it's not your jam. Your like or dislike of that as a genre is entirely valid. Yeah, I'm gonna have to completely redesign that, but I don't feel like doing that right now. You know what's weird is I've seen a lot of people talk about Repo and, like, say it's a horror game, and I believe them, but, like, all I ever see are the clips of people doing funny things. So my brain is associated that game is not a horror game at all. Roadsta. Well, it's fitting that we're building a giant church today, because today is Our Lady of Lords. This is a series of apparitions of Our Lady to Bernadette in southern France. One of the key things that Our Lady said is that she is the Immaculate Conception. This vision kind of helped cement that theology and title. An interesting thing, and I don't know how true it is, but something you often hear is that, or sometimes hear, is that what Bernadette saw versus what the artist made don't necessarily quite line up. And Bernadette was very insistent on she saw a very young woman, and also that she spoke Gascon Occitan, not French. But as always, any apparition of Mary is ultimately leading us back to Christ, and is a great reminder of Christ's role as the divine physician, as Lourdes has healing waters. Occitan is a language from southern France. It comes from it's a Latin-based language, and the name comes from hoc, it is, in Latin, which they took to using as the word for yes. So it's sort of the language of yes. That's a really cool language. They actually used it in Clair Obscur. I'm milling about because I don't know what I want to build. Did I see an apparition or witness to a Eucharistic miracle? I mean, really, if such a thing were to happen, whichever one God would deign for me to see, that is what would be best for my soul. I'm gonna have to change this section because the end of the path, this one's more narrow than the others, I guess. Stigmatized his own. Ooh, that would quite literally be quite a cross to bear. Okay, no, this one's not shorter, I just messed up in making it. I mean, I am by no means an expert in such things, but I'm given to understand it is painful. I mean, it is the wounds of Christ. I mean, most recent lived example that we have is Padre Pio. I don't think his lifespan was significantly shortened. Now I need to figure out what kind of wood to use for the roof. What kind of wood do you think would be good on this construction? I was thinking, honestly, we do have a lot of Sika from there. And I think the reddish hue of the Sika would kind of be a nice tie-in with the flooring. Let's put away some of our excess materials. This does mean we'll have to build a lightning rod. Maybe we'll do that on, like, the bell tower. Oh, I was also thinking it would be really cool for the front of the church. I randomly came across the Primatial Cathedral in Spain, I think it was. It had a really cool facade. Yeah, I think we'll do planks. So what if we did, like... Should I... Okay, I did, okay. It's like, what if that was our roof? I think that's a good color for a roof. You can barely see it, but I like it. I think that'll be good once we get more of that made. Maybe we'll work on these for now. these are not at the same height. I'll make this one taller. Seriously? There we go. So the top one has to match up with this. But the top one is actually a stair. Then it's 3 down. To the next one. This one should be a stair. And then it's straight down to the ground. However long that may be. Okay, so this one should be a stair piece, right? Yeah, that looks right. It's 1, 2 more. One, two, three. Make it not an upside down stair piece. A regular stair piece. There we go. I'm really happy I found these pillar trims. I think they look really nice on that wall. Of course, you can make a whole pillar out of it. too, I guess. Like if you built all 4 sides around. Maybe we'll have to do that somewhere. Yeah, at least this one I can figure out in reverse because it's 1, 2, 3, and then a stair piece, and then it should be 3 more. Yes. Ooh, that almost ended poorly. You know, it's something small that I like is how this has come together. Is there's a piece of environmental storytelling that these buttresses, especially like the inner portion, was kind of built first as like a retaining wall almost, because you can see the dirt below. Now we might terraform some of this, but not a ton. Kind of make it slope off of these portions. It's looking cool. And check it out on the map view. Might go get some more sand to start smelting that into glass. Maybe that's what we'll do. Mimic the pattern on the roof, or do something like St. Stephen's in Vienne. What's going on at St. Stephen's in Vienne? And I could... Matching it would be difficult. Not impossible. It would just be very time-consuming. Hey, triple. It's like a diamond pattern on the roof. Ooh, interesting. I think I'm going to stick with the normal Sika for now. Hello, Enderman. Goodbye, Enderman. It is a nice world. Our server manager, Kevin, did a nice job of finding a nice spawn for us. So let's go to Phoenix. Can I build a prison? I could. I probably won't. Oh my gosh, there's a pile of granite right there. There's been granite here this whole time. I've been digging and digging, looking for granite. It's just been sitting there. What are you? Oh, Capsicum. Oh, okay. I didn't bring another shovel. I should have brought another shovel. We're definitely going to have to terraform around the base of that because it looks a little weird right now. That's a future me problem. Tell you what, chat, I could do with a quick bio break, so don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a quick commercial break, so get a chance to get up, stretch your legs, get a drink of water, do what you need to do, and we will be right back. We are back. Thank you for that. What's the canonical rules of Pokemon Battle in Church? I mean, okay, so we've had one in there already, but the church hasn't been consecrated yet, is my argument. Because it's not built yet. I think the church would probably say, please don't. Also, the one we had was accident. I didn't mean to find him. I was just checking out his name, and he was like, aha! Do I have sticks lying around anywhere? Gotta make a new spoon. I don't know. What if council debates were settled by Pokemon duels, though? What if they played Pokemon TCG? I hear His Eminence has a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. Okay, I need to figure out what to do in this space. So following the rules we have established already, these need to be this. And then I guess I could break it up with a line of regular stone, kind of denoting that this is now base for a window. And this window would just be kind of shorter than the others. Oh, that's lightning. Oh, someone else. Keitra went to bed, apparently. Can I hair across my way out of this? Yes. Yes, I can. However, I should just build that up so I don't have to do that again. This is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. And then... Ow. Ow! Okay, so then it's smooth or regular stone, and then it's the wall. I'm trying... I've done a lot of builds where I tend to just... It's like, okay, here's a wall. I've chosen cobblestone as my material. Whole wall is cobblestone. So I'm trying to intentionally break it up with different uses of stone to make it more visually interesting. You know, like, I like the basilica we built in the other server a lot. Like, I'm very proud of it. But the whole wall is just one color. Okay, I can live with that. That's pretty good. I also need to figure out what kind of doors we want to have. So if we look here at doors, you can't see about here-ish, but those are all the classic doors. Magic door. I think that's a little much. Umbran door. Yakaranda door. Redwood door. Redwood door kind of looks like a barn door. Maple door. Vine door. Whoa. These redwood doors aren't bad, actually. These feel much more muted. Like, these feel a bit brighter, the Sakura. But this redwood doesn't look bad. What door do we like? Maybe... Also, I'm kind of just thinking the 4-panel might be nice, or... Could just go with classic. Maybe whispering. Oh. Okay. So wait, what if I make classic? I need the classic door print. Oh, okay. So you just put some paper around the shape that you want. So that's on the dark oak. So I might do classic because I mean it is a cross. It's open. Let's see what that looks like. I thought I had some oak somewhere. Yes, I do. Okay, great. Then we have lots of redwood over here. Hello, Granny. And thanks to my automated sugarcane farm, I have all the sugarcane to make paper that I need. let's make some paper. Nope. Make an oak door. Then we're gonna make a classic door print. Then we should be able to make some of these. Classic redwood door, classic design. It's a little Pepto-Bismol. Doesn't look so bad from the inside. Like it, the red matches ish, or at least they tie together tonally. I'll leave these here for now, but I won't put up others. We'll think about it. I don't like that when you make... There is a mod. Ah, there we go. I didn't like that. It's very obnoxious. There you go. Seek a classic door. I think we're going to go with the Sika. It looks more natural. And it still has a reddish hue, and then that will actually tie into the roofing material. I don't know what I just pulled up by accident. I just saw Steve lounging and said, nope. Nope. Oh, hi, Raikou. Can you please stop standing precariously on my church? Also, you are massive. Look how massive this Raikou is. Sir. Sir. It's too far away to scan. Level 70? I'm sure an Ultra Ball will work. How funny would it be if this actually worked? Nope! Nope, now the Raikou's upset. Just look how massive this thing is. Pokeball? I did throw a Pokeball. It immediately escaped and bit me. Ooh, that's pretty with the sunlight. It's a legendary, yes. And it's an especially large legendary. Yeah, I'm gonna have to redesign that window. It is just not working. And I think I know why. I think what we need to do is basically make the exact same pattern up above of just squatter. So what it would be is we'll have a layer of regular stone, and then smooth stone up, and then similar archway design. But that's a future problem. I might do that off camera because I have talked about it. But I feel like we made good progress today. Like we finished this whole... We did this whole section designing the window. We've replicated it, and we've built out most, all but one of the inner parts of the buttresses. Any modern games I enjoy? Modern games. What are those? No, I kid. No, I enjoy a lot. I mean, I play a lot of Civ in my free time, but especially while I'm on the treadmill, that's actually a really nice game to play. But I like, I enjoyed Donkey Kong Bonanza that came out last year. The new Mario Kart is fun. Trying to think. Recently was playing For the King 2. That was fun. Civ. You like SimCity? Nice. 12-hour Civ multiplayer stream when? Probably not. For the same reason I don't play Diplomacy with my friends. I want to keep my friends. Civ Archipelago where we can make changes? I genuinely don't know if Archipelago and Crowd Control are compatible. That's an interesting question. You play full pacifist? Yeah, I'm still gonna... you can play pacifist and, you know, still annoy your friends in a game. Well, you will be able to mess with me on stream on Friday with the Donkey Kong 64 crowd control. Other empires going to war with me and refuse my desire to build stuff. Yeah. It's like, now you choose now to declare war on me? How dare you? Yeah, I like the Sika doors. Those are good. I have played DK Bonanza. I enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. I enjoy Factorio. I've actually been doing a new Factorio run recently that's all oops all spaghetti. So my rules are I'm not allowed a bus, a train, or logistics bots. What occupation K. Rool take on? Well, he's been military general. He's been / king. He's been pirate captain. He's been mad scientist. He's been whatever you want to call it in Bonanza. Farmer, why not? Evil farmer. Said you were not good at playing AoE. Actually true. And played Peter and Yugen. Turns out that not very good at AoE is still very much better than them. Oh no! King K. Rool is clutch. Bishop K. Rool. Hard to put a... Problem is that, you know, he's got that alliteration. You know, King K. Rool, Captain K. Rool, and the scientist we don't talk about. There we go. That's looking cool, though. Check that out. Check that out. So one time at summer camp, we were playing Warcraft 3 LAN. Lost every ladder game we ever tried, but they refused to play with me without a handicap. Oh dear. But yeah, I like that. Maybe next time we'll work on the Sanctuary apps wall. Okay. Why, that's a name just as good as Dr. Nigel Edward Farias. But that is where we're going to have to call it for the day. So thank you so much for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. It's been good to be with y'all today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Join us again tomorrow as we play more Super Mario World. I think we may do some of the secret level stuff, maybe after we finish up Choco Mountain or whatever it's called, Choco Plains, I think. And then Friday, 1:30-ish, gonna be doing Donkey Kong 64 with crowd control to celebrate 600 followers. So it should be a party. So you can use channel points to get coins, and then use coins to do things to my game. That was weird. I was just doing nothing and it pulled up. Really quickly, Minecraft was just sitting here and it pulled this up and I'm like, and then I clicked done. And then it pulled it back up again. I don't know. It was weird. I had to share that. But anyway, thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you for being here today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Well, let's see who's live that we can raid into. Jade is live at a time that I can... Lurking for a second, checking in on the wife. Thank you for the lurk, K-Max. We're signing off. We're going to go raid Jade, because we haven't been able to raid him lately, because he streams at weird hours. Anyway, raid call is Father Raid. Go give Jade some love. He's a cool dude. Very involved at Reach. Got to meet him in person there. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. God bless.